Welcome to your Daily 5 for Thursday, May 8th, 2025. I think I saw it on 9 to 5 Mac. They had this ad that I guess Google has put out. Now, I'm not really sure where this ad is being seen. This may be one of these online only type of things. I'm not really sure since I don't have television anymore, at least network television. I don't know what ads are broadcast. The only ads I ever really see, to be honest, are on baseball games. And those tend to be very specific and often repeated terrible ads, but not generally for stuff like this. So anyway, Google apparently published a ad where it's two phones doing a podcast. Of course, I'll link to it here. And they are rehashing this idea that iPhone steals things from Android. And in this case, what they're referring to is a design leak that hasn't even been verified. It probably is correct, but nobody really knows if this is the actual final design of whatever the next iPhone version is going to be. And I watched this ad because the 9 to 5 Mac site was, basically called it a cringeworthy ad. And watching it, honestly, as far as the quality of the ad, yeah, it's not that great an ad, but I don't expect much out of Google in terms of advertising. And I think that's because of the larger problem with this. The ad itself really isn't the issue. I don't think most people would have any idea what the Pixel phone is. Even though, as a lot of people have pointed out, I have seen more of them in the wild. I don't know who this ad is actually aimed at, because anybody who already is in the Android ecosystem likely knows that Google makes their own phone. That should not be a big secret to people who are happy within the Android ecosystem. Anybody who's in the Apple ecosystem probably doesn't care. And I don't think either side of that fence really cares anymore about anybody copying a design. That was an argument that made some sense in the early days before these two were established as basically the two main things you can do with a phone. It's Android or it's iOS. That's what it is for the most part, at least as of this recording. So when that was still kind of being determined, when BlackBerry was still involved, when there was the possibility Windows Phone maybe might be able to do something, then making these points to try to gain more people away from iOS maybe made some sense. But at this point, who actually cares? Who came up with what idea first? Honestly, this has been one of the more baffling things to me in terms of technology. The people who come up with things first are not always actually making the best version of it. In fact, in many cases, the innovator makes the worst version of it and somebody else refines it. It may be the innovator themselves, but it could be a competitor, as Apple has basically built their entire career on at this point, is refining ideas that people like that other people weren't making as well. I'm saying that as somebody who's not the biggest Apple fan, and even I can see that. So I watched this ad, and I don't find that the cringe-worthy part, if that term even applies, I don't find that the failure is in terms of the quality of the ad. Again, it's not that great, but I saw an Apple ad recently, which was one of the most bafflingly awful things. Actually, it was running on the baseball feed. This ad where this guy is working out and erases his mother from the picture. It is bizarre. It is every bit as bad in its way as this ad is. Except that at least you sort of know what this individual is doing with their phone, the kind of magic erase idea. And so, even though I don't know if everybody would even like the ad, that's almost its own 5 separately. But again, this ad, were this to air, nobody would care about it. This is not something, this particular who copied who first, that has never been a compelling argument to make somebody consider your product. It just isn't. Because if you're not selling the strength of your product, which this ad absolutely does not in any way, outside of saying that they stole features, doesn't say that their features are better or not, just that somebody else took it from them, that is the failure of the ad. It is not that the ad itself is not funny. It isn't funny, but many ads aren't funny that think they are, so that's certainly not something Google has a lock on. I think it's more of the fact that this has been a failing argument since very, very shortly after it debuted. Again, when there was some jockeying within the phone OS space, maybe people were possibly swayed by who came first. Although I'm not even sure that was true. And it certainly hasn't been true for a very long time. So is this a bad ad? Yes. Not because it's not funny, but because the central conceit of the ad is something that no one cares about. Later.